Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Teddy, between 1 and 10, what
We're
type
doing more
of
at
threat?
the same time.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, sir.
What threat level is Berlanga to Canelo? Between 1 and 10.
Berlanga's a very talented young fighter. He's undefeated. He hasn't learned how to lose. He's a terrific fighter. He's only getting better. He has shown the ability to learn, the ability to grow, the ability to, when he gets more seasoning, which he has his last few fights, he's shown that improvement. He's on the right path. There's no doubt about it. I just don't know if he's got enough seasoning now to beat Canelo. I put him in the same way as Munguia. Munguia had more fights, I get it, but he didn't have that level of fights on that stage to really deal with Canelo. He had a lot of fights, and I love Munguia. The way he handles himself, everything. The way he handles himself before, after fights, what he does in the ring, the heart, the chin, everything. But I felt that he did not, going into the Canelo fight, Munguia just didn't have enough experience. And that's part of the reason I felt Canelo's people felt comfortable picking him, quite frankly. Nothing against Canelo. I mean, you got to be smart. You know, that's part of the game. You manage. So especially if you're the golden boy and you have the ability to pick your spots because you bring the money. So obviously you're going to have the power to do that, where someone else can't do that because they don't bring the money, they don't bring the pay-per-view, they don't bring what Canelo brings. So he's earned that, but that's a fact. And I believe that Berlanga's in the same, sort of the same boat, where he has improved. Munguia had improved, but he still needed a few more fights at that level to season enough to handle a guy like Canelo, that experience. And I think that Berlanga still needs a little more. Still, but you know what? There's one X factor. Canelo's a little older now. And that's the one thing that he's battling against. You know, there's a tiny bit of slippage. There is, you're going to be honest, a little bit. But look, he's still terrific, Canelo. But nobody wins 100% of the time against Father Time. Sooner or later, Father Time gets you. And I don't know where Canelo is in that battle yet, but I know he's getting there. And maybe that he's gotten a little older since the Munguia fight. That could play for Berlanga where he gets old. Because there will be a day, if he stays around long enough, where you say, oh, wow, he got old. Like, as you're watching him, you say, wow, he got old. Wow. He really did. And so I don't know if that day's coming, but aside from that, I don't think it's here yet. Aside from that, I have to like Canelo again because same thing. Berlanga, I think, just needs a little bit more season, a little more time.
You know, some of the fans are upset with him and they're claiming they're going to boycott Canelo Berlanga, but he's going head up against UFC Noche. How do you think that's going to affect?
You know, he is going head up, and I'm a little confused by it. I'll tell you why. We know Canelo does good numbers, and we understand all that. But it doesn't seem like anybody beats UFC. And you always got to put the proof to what you say. All I say is this: do we forget a couple years ago where Canelo and them actually waited and actually put back the time they came out? They were supposed to come out about an hour earlier, and they actually put it back because they didn't want to go against UFC.
Nate Diaz-Mas with the one.
Right.
Yeah, the
I didn't forget that. Right. Yeah. I didn't forget that. Did Canelo's people forget that? I don't know. But I didn't forget that. You conceded that you weren't going to go against you. You were there. It was the same night, and you had to wait because somebody whispered in your ear, hey, we ain't going to get an audience we want to get if we go on now because they're watching UFC.
They played it in the stadium.
So I'm just a little, so I'm a little confused. Everyone does things for different, motivations. Some of the right ones, some of the wrong ones. But I'm confused that they would go up against that horse against. They raced against that horse once, and they didn't do that well. They didn't come in the money. So I'm just a little confused that they're going, maybe it's ego, maybe it's like now we don't, whatever it is. But it's going to be curious to see, isn't it? That if they getting ready to come in the ring and then all of a sudden they say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to we're gonna do a little dance and song act now because we have to wait a little while until the UFC has passed by. I don't know.
So Tyson Fury's keeping the same team for the rematch with Oleksandr Usyk.
He should keep the same team. They got him here. He should be loyal. He should keep the same team. They've done a good job. There are things that he can add to, that he can improve in. I'm sure his people will make him aware of it. There definitely are things. But
more aggression?
Well, I mean, look, there's things that he maybe could have used the uppercut more because it was very effective in that 6th round. Maybe he could have used it throughout the fight a little more, maybe. You know, maybe there's things that he could have just added off of controlling him with the jab. I have a saying, you set the table with the jab and you eat with the right hand, right? Maybe he could have, you know, went to the refrigerator a little and brought out a few, or to wherever the stock box is, wherever he keeps the right hand, and brought them out with the jab a little more. Maybe he could have done that because he was definitely doing well with the jab. He was setting the table. Maybe he could have ate a little more, definitely. But he was in there with a special guy. A special guy, a guy whose greatest talent, nobody understood what his greatest talent going in. Oh, he's too small, he's too this, he's too... No. He does one thing as great as anybody has ever done it. He finds a way to win. Usyk has always done that. That's a talent. That's a special quality. Finds a way to win. Just finds a way. And that was obviously on display there, that he did that. And again, I applaud Fury. I like, to me, the most important trait we can have as human beings is to be loyal. Most important thing, you know what? Why? Because it shows strength. Because it ain't always easy to be loyal. It ain't always easy. So I applaud him for that. I think he's doing the right thing. There are things that he can improve. There's no doubt about it. But he'll be doing it against a guy that it's the same special guy. And one other thing plays into that rematch. I always say this when I was doing all the fights on ESPN, that the reason I protect these fights, I always stood up for fighters. I got myself fired for doing it, and I said when a fighter got robbed, so I did it to the point where I'm no longer the broadcaster. That's okay, because I can live with that. I can live with that. And God's been good to me. I'm doing other things, so I'm okay. But
we love the podcast.
Thank you. I always say that people don't understand why I would get so riveted and go after these judges and go after all these corrupt people and call them out. Because every time a fighter gets in a ring, he gets out of the ring with less of himself. That's why. He gets out of the ring with less of himself. He does. It's a physiological fact. And both those fighters left that ring that night, that great night, they left with less of themselves. That's going to play in the rematch. Who left more of themselves in the ring in that last historic, iconic night? That's going to play. That's going to be important.
Teddy, last thing, how did Crawford look at 154? Last thing.
He looked great. Crawford looked good at 254. Crawford is special. Crawford is... I never will go against Crawford. That man is special. He's special in every way. Technically, physically, and the most important way, inside himself, in his mind. He doesn't believe anyone could beat him. And nobody's convincing me that they can, or him.
Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much.